Virginia High Bearcat basketball will be on the air in 5 minutes. Three minutes. Two minutes until airtime. Sixty seconds. Seconds till Bearcat basketball. Fifteen seconds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time for Bearcat basketball from the radio home of Virginia High Athletics. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Show on Bearcat Radio. Good evening and welcome to Bearcat Radio's exclusive coverage of the VHSL's Class II state quarterfinal that pits the Region D runner-up, the Virginia High Bearcats, against the Region C champ, the Chatham Cavaliers. I'm Dylan Hutton, joined by Mark Carr from the Grant Center on the campus of Averett University in Danville, Virginia. And tonight, the first step of a magical journey to a state championship begins here in the south side of Virginia. Mark, it's hard to believe that these two teams, along with the other 6 that make up the field of 8, are just 3 wins away from a state championship. How do you stay away from this pressure-packed moment, and how much does past playoff experience help for this year's teams?
You know, to prepare, what you have to do is you just have to come in loose. And the whole bus ride over here and all of last night, they just seem loose. They seem ready to go. And I think, honestly, going to UVA Wild was a much more hostile environment. No offense to the Chatham fans who are here, but it doesn't seem like there's as packed of a house and, I mean, as many fans for Chatham as there was for other teams trying to root against us. I think we're in a good situation in that sense. We brought a lot of Bearcat people with us tonight, and I think we're ready to go for that.
Yeah, good crowd. Made the trip down from Bristol, the 3-hour ride that we just made. So we welcome you to the Bearcat Tip-Off Show presented by State Line Motors in Bristol. Again, getting set. We're about 22 minutes out from the opening tip of this one. And we'll hit Mark with another question. Here tonight we see contrasting play styles. You got both teams really wanting to pace it out offensively quickly, but defensively got a lot of different mindsets for each team. The Cats are going to look to put the full court pressure on and get out in transition, while Chatham will try to lock down the perimeter in a 1-2-2 zone. They'll also move to a 3-2 out of that. And their offensive possessions, they're going to try to get to the rim. The Cats may have some success outside more so than what we'll see from Chatham, who will try to take some close looks at the hoop. Mark, how can the Bearcats attack on offense? And then after you answer that, how can they attack defensively?
On offense, I mean, like you said it already, they have to come out and play fast, beat them down the court. They have a couple players who just aren't as fast as ours, and if you beat them down the court, you could be potentially playing 5-on-3, 5-on-2 consistently, and that's what you need. I mean, you want the numbers to play early, and then on the defensive side, I mean, they're not that big of a team. They have a couple big girls, but, I mean, pressure in the backcourt could be a really big factor for this team. I think, I mean, and that's something Virginia High likes to do is get in their face and make them force an issue, and a lot of the times it forces them to make an issue.
So we'll see how they do on that end. What about now switch to the defensive side a little bit more? What do you think about having to pressure? We know it's probably going to be one of your main keys to the game here later, but getting pressure, you got to make shots to get there offensively.
Yeah, and with this 1-2-2 that Chatham likes to run, it's more of a box and one is what a lot of people like to call it. And you're going to have someone running a dog, and that's probably going to be on a Maya Lee. And with that, I mean, you're going to open up the corners for Jada Campbell and Lauren DeLeon and Allie Sidnor. But the wings are going to be pretty effective as well. Your job mainly is to get to the middle of that zone and break it. And with Taylor Owens and Bailey, you're able to do that, and also with Sidnor. I mean, you have that talent on the inside to be able to do that.
The Lady Cats just took the floor here behind or right in front of us, and the Virginia High faithful clapped there for them. Again, a good crowd this afternoon. Third question here for Mark. We haven't seen Taylor Owens rack up the point totals in the postseason like she did in the regular season. She had 17 points per game in the regular season, somewhere around 10 right here in the postseason at this point from what we've averaged. How important is it for her to play well tonight for the Cats? And if we continue on after tonight, which hopefully we do, the rest of the playoffs, how important is it for Taylor to be a key factor?
You know, you say that she hasn't got her 17, but she's made up that 7 points and other differentiations on the boards and playing defense physically and getting assists around. And she's made up that 7 points in other places, but the points will start falling for her. I think she's had a lot of nerves getting used to this environment and coming out and playing her brand of basketball. She's played against a lot of physical girls. I mean, you look at Bailey Frazier and Savednik. She's had a couple really tough matchups. But now, I think she's able to handle that.
Now let's take a look at the last game recap. Cats coming off a 56-43 loss to Wise Central in the Region 2D championship game in Wise. Amaya Lee led the Cats with 14 points, 4 assists. She hit 4 threes in that game. Jada Campbell had 13 points, 2 assists. Taylor Owens with 9 points, 6 boards. Allie Sidnor 5 points, 5 boards, and 7 turnovers in that one. So she's going to have to limit the turnovers. Kerrigan Bailey finished tonight with 2 points and 6 boards as the Wise Central grinded the Bearcats down in the second half. Virginia High, Wise Central were tied 27-27 at half. Game had 4 ties, 5 lead changes, but the Cats shot just 1 for 15 from the floor, 6% in the third quarter, and only scored 3 points in that third. Only trailed by 11 going into the fourth, but could not get out of that deficit. Tried to claw back here and there, but just couldn't get it going at the right time. Ended up falling 56-43, and they were outscored in the second half by Wise Central 29-16, and for the game 36-12 in the paint. A big differential there from that game.
Yeah, and they had a couple big factors with Savetic being one of those. We tried to limit her as much as we could, but she's going to get her piece, and she was named Player of the Week by WCYB for that very reason. But, you know, I think the thing tonight is you're really just going to have to force your issues. I mean, the third quarter was the issue for us, and I mean that's really the only problem we had. I mean, you look at the first, second, even the fourth quarter. We played a really good brand of basketball, and I expect that to happen again tonight. I mean, we usually don't come in a halftime flat. That's one thing Timmons usually limits. It's just we were turning the ball over. We weren't able to hit shots. The lid was on the basket was really the main problem for us, and that's not something that usually happens for us either. It was a very uncharacteristic quarter, and I expect that to not be the same thing tonight.
And now let's take a look at the last game recap for Chatham. They actually are coming off a win over Martinsville, 53-40. They led 27-11 at half, just out-physicaled them in that first half. Shot 24 of 40 from the free throw line, and they held Bulldogs of Martinsville to 5 for 27 from the floor in that first half as they went on to a dominant 53-40 win on the year for their first Region C championship under Coach Lauren French, who we'll talk about a little bit later in this pregame show. So that was the 2C championship game that they won. So Cats coming off a loss in their region championship facing the champion here in Danville. Take a look at the VHSL Class 2 field of 8 real quick. We have 3 games going on tonight, 3 of the 4 games in this Class 2 state tournament. Chatham and Virginia High, of course, on the radio network here. Then Buffalo Gap versus Prince Edward County Friday tonight at 7 o'clock. Pequoson against George Mason, that's also tonight at 7 o'clock. And then Wise Central will play Martinsville tomorrow at 2 p.m. in Wise. Winner of this one between Virginia High and Chatham will play Wise Central or Martinsville. And then the state semifinals will be either Monday or Tuesday for that. The higher seed will host. Then the championship game where all these teams are dreaming to end up March 9th. That's Friday night in the Siegel Center at VCU in Richmond. So every team, the main goal here, these 8 that are left, get to Richmond. And the Cats are 2 wins away from getting there starting this afternoon. Tonight's game is brought to you by State Line Motors on Euclid Avenue in Bristol and also BSN Sports in Bristol. We thank them for their support. And we had a couple of interviews we did earlier today. We did with Jada Campbell and Taylor Owens, so we'll take you out to those. We'll have Jada's interview first, followed by Taylor Owens, and we'll be back for more live coverage from Averett University after this break. We'll be right back. This is Dylan Hutton along with Jada Campbell pregame before the Lady Cats take on the Chatham Cavaliers in the Class 2A state quarterfinals from Danville, Virginia. And Jada, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And just getting ready for a big game here, Jada. You're basically the three-point threat. You're one of the three-point threats on this team. How have you seen your three-point shot evolve over even this year?
I've been going to the gym a lot, working on it with my dad every day after practice, going and working out and just trying to get better.
And just keep on keeping on, right?
Yes.
You hit a 3 in the last game, or in the Ridgeview game, just for like a step back. What went into that one? It was just like the girl wouldn't come up to guard you, so you just kind of looked around and just decided to pop it.
Yeah, she wasn't going to guard me. I'm going to shoot it.
How did Jeff feel when that one fell for you?
Really good.
And that win was definitely a landmark win for you all to get here. and then, of course, hopefully get a rematch with Wise Central earlier next week. But what can you tell us a little bit about